All right, welcome back to I don't know, another edition of In Cars with Comic Book Creators. um, as per usual, well, this is the comics multiverse, and so there'll be no crazy political rants from me. Of course, I can't speak for my guests, with who are returning after who were here just here 4 months ago when they were to talk about the project. I'm going to mess this up. Slave Zero X, I believe, and now they're back with another project, and it's Legendary, and so let's bring them in and find out what they've been working on, and how things going. Hey guys, how's it going?
All good, thank you.
Hi Chad, welcome to my rather spacious car.
But like I said, it was about 4 months ago that we chatted about it's Slave Zero X project. Is that correct? Did I get it correct?
Yeah, you did right.
So, are you guys still working on that, or are you kind of moving on to? I mean, obviously you're moving on to another project, but
yeah, no.
How has that gone so far?
Yeah, Slave Zero X, the game has come out now, and so the comic we worked on for that was part of a sort of deluxe edition that was packaged it came with the game and an art book and all sorts of goodies. So that one's done and dusted, and in the rearview mirror, though we're hoping potentially to do some more work with the team at Ziggurat Games, because they're great and they've got some really cool games. We said before, they sort of do specialize in retro gaming, so it's particularly for old farts like me and Andy, it's stuff we relate to because we used to play it when we were youngsters.
Or less old.
Oh yeah, sorry, less old. That's a better way of saying
less old. Hey, I understand the feeling, so I'm right there with you. So I mean, usually I ask about your my guests' experiences with comics, both as a reader and creator. But I think we covered that last time, and I will include the video right here, and hopefully I'll be pointing to where the link will show. That people should definitely check to find out about that, and about the Slave Zero X project that Andy just mentioned. But today we're here to talk about a new project. Kind of give us the overview of what it is.
And should we take the first one?
It's basically we're creating or we've been creating this comic book that goes along with a line of action figures. It's taking a step back from that. We've been working with some great guys at Metatravelers, going back probably to 2022, 2021, something like that. And we did a series of motion comics with them over the course of a year, which were fantastic, but they were coming out weekly, so it almost killed us. But then off the back of that, they had a hugely successful Kickstarter campaign to create action figures around the characters. And that, like I said, that went gangbusters. I think far better than anybody expected. But the thing about action figures is they have a huge lead time to them. And so to fulfill a project like that, you need very patient backers who, you want to keep excited along the way. So one of the ways to do that is to tell some more stories using the characters that live within this world, within Metatravelers, and some specific characters within that. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Andy, because Andy is the repository of all things story. So he can tell you all about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So Chad, for the Kickstarter campaign, and what we can do, I just realised actually after this, we can share the links to the campaign, because you can still get hold of these figures because they're all pre-order. You can actually we can link you to them, so and also to the Metatravelers motion comic stuff on YouTube, because in case your listeners want to check that out as well. because as Ant said, we did 32 episodes of that, which was almost an hour and a half's worth of motion comics, which gives a lot of the backstory to these characters called the Nibiru, and that was the basis for the action figures, which the Metatravelers guys teamed up with the Four Horsemen, who used to be designers with Todd McFarlane Toys, and then they left to set up their own company. They do absolutely amazing. You can imagine, because the detail you get with those McFarlane Toys. These guys are the people who set that standard, that sort of gold standard for action figures that we've got now. And so they've worked with the Metatravelers guys to create these action figure collection. And for each of the figures, we came up with a backstory that related to this Metatravelers Nibiru universe that we've been developing in the motion comics. So each character has its own story, which helps with the look of it. Ant did box art for them, which it all looks wonderful. And like Ant said, it actually takes a year. From design to execution, it takes about a year. So even though that campaign finished in November, it's like the backers, like Ant said again, very patient because they won't get their toys until November. But it does mean that in November you will be able to buy them online as well. So what the guys suggested, and we were talking to them about this, was, you know, for the backers and for their fan base, and hopefully to bring in new fans and make people aware of the toys, they decided to put out a series of graphic novels, which we've come up with a sort of overarching story that features the characters who are the action figures. So and the way we've done it as well, we've focused on some of the main characters in this story are the more popular action figures that got developed as part of the Kickstarter campaign, and so we're featuring them all, and it's all tied up in this this big story called The Fall of Nibiru. Nibiru being the home planet. Mira Prime being the home planet of the Nibiru. And there's no guesses. The story's telling the fall of that planet. So we kind of drop people straight into the action with that. And the plan is the guys are launching it on Indiegogo. So it's another sort of crowd-funded project, so they're hoping, like I say, to appeal to the backers of the toy campaign, plus bring in hopefully some people who are interested in comics and who might be interested in action figures. We've said that Venn diagram is pretty much a circle. It's like I think we said this about the Slave Zero X stuff when we were talking to you. It's like, gamers and comic people and toy action figure people. They all are very very selective group who love the stuff they love. So we've structured the story. There's a backup story in there that develops even more of the background of the characters. Plus, we've also taken those motion comics we spoke about, flattened them out, and turned them into comic book story as well. So the whole package is. Hang on, I'm just having a look.
68 pages.
How many, Ant?
68 pages of comic fun.
There you go. So yes, so it's a 68-page comic for the ridiculously cheap price of
$16. It's a good thing you got me here, Andy.
Yeah, thanks, Ant. I'm just looking now because I always look at it in English. It's £13, but $16 for 68 pages of comic stuff. And I also got to mention we've been very fortunate. We've got a fantastic lead artist on this, Gustavo Vargas. Very, very good artist, renowned for his own Kickstarter projects, doing his own specialist subject, which is Peruvian cyberpunk. Who knew that existed? And Ant's done a backup story. Gustavo and Ant have done covers, and we've also enlisted Todd Nork and Liam Sharp to do alternate covers for it as well.
I hear that they're two up and comers, Todd Knock and Liam.
Yeah, Yeah, we're giving them their big break.
Big things coming for them.
Yeah. We like to give the youngsters a break.
So, tell us a little bit about the world that you're playing in and the characters themselves that you're going to be kind of exploring.
Yeah, so the world is the one, like I say, that we started developing with these motion comics, which is a universe about centered on the Nibiru, a sort of an alien race who are very much sort of galactic explorers. I kind of think of them like the Federation in Star Trek, but they've created a network of portals, interdimensional portals, that serves the chain worlds. These are worlds that they've explored and got outposts on. But they've also got a sort of very unique alien physiology that allows them to bond. They call it conjoining with another species and take on the attributes of that species. So rather than terraforming planets when they discover them, they terraform themselves to suit the planet. So they basically quite literally adapt themselves to the conditions of that world by conjoining with an alien species. And in this bigger story now, when we told the motion comic story, it was told from the point of view of a guy called Matt, who was an Earthman who has a run-in with a Nibiru, an injured Nibiru, and ends up taking on the powers and going on an adventure to explore the Nibiru. He was kind of our POV character that gave us a chance to explain all of this stuff. Now we're going to expand that world, introduce a whole new bunch of characters, including sort of like nefarious factions within the Nibiru. So it's like they're not all good guys, and they're not all squeaky clean and noble. There's a bit of sort of Machiavellian plotting going on in the background. There's some darn right evil people, and then there's also Spite, who are kind of like our Borg, who are an alien parasitic life form, who, when the Nibiru conjoined with them, they became the dominant species and actually possessed the Nibiru. And like most parasites, they just want to find more host bodies to infect. So all of this makes for a nice backdrop on which to tell a lovely story, which is all to do with peace, love, and harmony. Oh yeah, and giant battles in space. I forgot about that.
So when you're writing sci-fi, are there certain tropes you try to avoid having written? Other, I wouldn't say similar, but other space sci-fi for like Marvel and DC.
Yeah, I mean, it's particularly for myself, having done a lot of the Marvel cosmic stuff. It's obviously it's a genre I love. There's no two ways about it. I do. I think it's my my favourite stuff to read as well as to write. And but I think the cool thing with this is working with the Metatravelers team, Marco and Jeremy particularly, who are the founders of it. They've got their own creative input into this. They've got their own ideas. They've got their own sort of their own philosophy around what they want to do with the world, and so Ant and I have been riffing with those guys and sort of developing this stuff, which again takes you, if you work in isolation, you have a tendency to furrow and go down the same line sometimes without even knowing it. But when you get the best form of collaboration like this, makes you think differently and bring in different ideas and bounce things around and hopefully come at things from a slightly different tangent. So that's been a great deal of a very rewarding partnership we've had with them.
And how about having worked in sci-fi, other sci-fi playgrounds or sandboxes? What about for you?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I mean, it's again, it's like Andy said, it's one of the favorite places to play. I mean, I mean, I was out of comics for 20 odd years, but I've just been dipping my toe back in again recently, and I'm doing stuff for 2000 AD again, which, I started in back in the 90s. So, sci-fi is in my blood like that. That sort of, well, it's more of a mashup as well with fantasy as well, And I think the beauty of something like this is their world is already so rich with content, not necessarily with stories, but with content ready for us to play with as well, because these guys, they didn't just create a bunch of characters and nothing behind them. There's so much substance there that I think we're only just beginning to scratch the surface with regard to where this can go as well. I mean, they're hugely ambitious, but in a very creative way. They want to create these massive story worlds that people can play in. So this is the best sort of work. Working with creative people and on a project which is it's being done out of a genuine passion for the genre.
Yeah, and Chad, just to add to that as well, I think their commitment to the people, the backers, and prior to that, the people who supported them with the Metatravelers project, they want to produce cool stuff for the people who are supporting them, and really, they're driven by, obviously, they want to be successful, they want to get product out and everything, but they're also very aware of the fact that a lot of people have helped them and backed them on this, and they didn't have to put out the graphic novels, but they felt it would be a really good thing to keep their community engaged with what they're doing, and also hopefully develop new ideas, which gives them potential to develop new toys in the future.
So one of the things that kind of you talked about is that kind of really interests me is the motion comic side of it. How does that differ from doing like a regular,
well,
comic? And
well, I think there's a few things you have to bear in mind at the start, which is there's a production aspect to it. From day one, when the story's being written, I mean, I won't speak for Andy on that, but you're keeping in mind what the end medium is for that. And then from the art side, that's definitely, you have to approach that differently, because you're effectively layering everything that you're creating. So you want to do that in the most economic way possible, so that you can build motion into the comics by having characters move within backgrounds, etc. It's limited motion because it's not animation we're enhancing the story. So which is why we also avoid having voiceover tracks or anything like that. It's got audio and it's got this limited animation, but it's very effective and very impactful. And of course, we then got the raw materials for creating flat comic books as well. So you can go back to the well with this stuff when you're creating for motion comics. So it is incredibly flexible and useful as far as that's concerned. And then Andy, I don't know if you want to comment just from approaching it from a story point of view.
I think it well, particularly with the ones we did for the Metatravelers stuff, was they were weekly, as Ant said, and so we had to churn them out really quickly. And I came up with the really smart idea to end each one on a cliffhanger. So it was, but which was really cool though, because it was kind of like doing a newspaper strip, like a 3-4 panel newspaper strip. You've got to do a condensed story in that, and particularly for the action ones, like Flash Gordon's, and your Spider-Man ones like that, they tended to try and end on a cliffhanger as well. So which in 3 or 4 panels is even more of a task. So it was great fun telling it from that point of view. And I think to what Ant was saying, a lot of the basis for how we approached this was built on, we'd worked with a company called Madefire, who created a web browser based motion comic tool back in the sort of like 2012, 2014. They launched a company that Liam Sharp actually was part of, and it was a fantastic thing. It just unfortunately it never really took off, because the publishing companies, they're traditional publishers. Why would they want to go and migrate their stuff onto a different platform? But it was really good from the point of view of giving creators a new tool to play with. Unfortunately, the company fell victim to COVID and lost their funding and vanished. But we were using a lot of informed thinking that we'd done, working with those guys and using different tools like After Effects and stuff like that to create the motion comics. But first and foremost, we wanted it to be a reading experience, even though, like Ant said, things are moving around and everything. You're controlling word balloons come up at various pace throughout the whole thing. It's not an animatic, it's not animation. It really is, motion comics. It's all about the artwork. It's all about the reading experience, just with a few bells and whistles added to it, which is good fun.
And I mean, just very briefly to expand on that, as well as with other projects that we've worked on, we've taken it then to the next logical step. Like we did a large project called Angel Eyes, which is in VR, which is taking that, and then all of a sudden you've got the comic living in the space around you, which becomes very interesting with regard to storytelling and pacing, and dramatic moments, etc., transitions. So there's a huge amount you can do with it. It's definitely still something which has a lot of potential for experimentation, growth, and development. But it's hugely impactful for a lot of the people we work for, to give them something to tell their story. They're not comics publishers, they're people maybe who are developing IP, and they want an opportunity to see what it looks like coming alive without having this sort of outlay you would have for animation or live action or what have you. So it's I think it's something that is definitely going to grow and grow.
So is there a favorite character that either of you grew attached to as you were working on them?
I'll let you go first, Dan, because you had to draw them, which can be a lot more complicated.
I have drawn a lot. Well, I've drawn all of them basically at one point or another. I think I've drawn all of them. And at the moment, I'm actually doing the second wave of box art. This is what I was doing just before we started this chat. So I'm doing some cool characters there. But there is one character which is in this Indiegogo campaign, which is Obsidious. It's just, he's just one of those bad guy characters that you just want to draw constantly. It's just, he's so fantastically evil and looks like he is, that it's like actors saying they'd always rather play the bad guy because they're a whole lot more fun than the good guys. And it's the same when you're drawing them as well, So that's definitely the one for me.
Yeah, Obsidious is a great character, and again, like Ant said, the bad guys are always good fun to motivate and come up with, and apart from anything else, he's got some very cool gear on him, but a good counterbalance to him is the Eternal Guard, which as one of the toys was a special edition they did as a sort of stretch goal unlock, who's got this massive wingspan to him. So I think as a toy, he's about yay big and yay wide, so it's just an absolutely amazing looking bit of kit. And so again, good character to play with, and ultimately when you're writing this stuff, what really brings it all to life at the end of the day is when the artwork comes in. When the artwork comes in, you get all excited all over again, because it's like, wow, this looks so cool. And Gustavo and Ant have done just a fantastic job making these guys look three-dimensional beyond the point of they're a toy. They look cool as a toy. They look even better when they're flying around, busting heads.
So is there anything else that maybe I didn't ask about that you wanted to say about the project I mean, you've definitely given given us a lot of information about what you guys are working on, and it sounds like it's a pretty cool project.
Well, it really is, and like I say, I'll share some links so you can post them into the to the followers and stuff. But because I would say is check out the toys. The action figures are just absolutely amazing. The like I say, the artwork and is wonderful in the book, and we really hope that people will go check it out, because number one, it's so cheap, and number two, it's a great story with some great art, which we really want to do the second issue of. And so we, given that we're crowdfunding this, we need to reach a certain level of success to empower us to tell more stories in this world. I think the project's going to move along anyway, as far as the guys want to do a second wave of action figures. So it's not going away anytime soon. So if you are curious, this is a great time to jump on board.
Cool. Well, I usually at this point do a segment I like to call 5 questions, but because of time constraints, I will let you guys choose between 2 questions to answer. Either you can tell me who you would put on your, I don't know, Mount Rushmore of comic book creators. I mean, that's a very American thing of me to say.
Okay, we get it.
Or 5 things that you would take to a desert island to read. If you could only have to take 5 things to read to a desert island, what would they be? So either one of those questions is fair game.
I'll let you go first, Dan.
Okay, I'll do the Mount Rushmore because it's probably easier to answer that one. I mean, I just went back to. I mean, there are so many. Obviously, that we basically just need to extend the mountain quite a bit. But
yes.
but if I'm choosing one, I'm going to say John Buscema, because when I was a kid growing up, that was the first artist where I really took notice and went, "Oh my God, wow! A human being can't draw like this." It was like I loved all comic book artwork, and I was in awe of all comic book artists. Then all of a sudden, I saw my first John Buscema, which was probably Fantastic Four, and there was this person who seemed to just be, another 10 foot above everybody else. So that's the one for me.
Yeah, 4 more, or are you just going to make a John Buscema?
You want all 5 on Mount Rushmore? Oh, there you are. Then right. Oh,
no, 4. 4.
Okay, 4. Okay, so Kirby goes up there because he blows my mind nowadays. He didn't blow my mind as much when I was a kid, but absolutely blows my mind now. And then I'd probably, let's see, where would I go then? I might go for somebody like Alex Toth, just for the sheer genius of and the simplicity of the work. And then total opposite of the spectrum, a Rudy Nebres, somebody like that, but just for the beautiful line work, or an Al Williams. So honestly, this could be a massively long list. So
no, I understand it can, and I've, when I asked the question to others, I said, it can be to, who would you put today, or, I mean, because it's hard to whittle down all the greats to just 4 people, because you have, writers, artists, colorists.
Andy.
Well, I was going to say it can change from day to day, week to week, but I guess that leaves me on the desert island then. So, which I would form my own sort of sandcastle Mount Rushmore anyway. Just because I'd be bored.
Well, I also allow, like, if you want to take like 4 runs of a series by a certain creative team, then.
Right. Well, so I think I would go. Well, I was going to go Watchmen, but I think I'd go Give Me Liberty, because, or maybe Give Me Liberty and then Watchmen, but that gives you 2 Dave Gibbons projects. So it's like if I have to choose one, I'd go Give Me Liberty, but I'd also go Ronin by Frank Miller, and Swamp Thing, Alan Moore run of Swamp Thing, and anything by Richard Corbin. just anything by Richard Corbin at all, you know.
We're definitely showing our age here, Andy.
Yeah, I know, and again, even more so, you know, a big fat collection of Savage Sword of Conan, particularly the Buscema, Alfredo Alcala ones, because not only would they be brilliant, they, you know, they'd make great kindling for the inevitable fire.
You have to cook and eat your own foot. Yeah.
And then I was desperately trying to think of a comic book series that had somebody surviving on their own on a desert island, because it might be really useful, but I can't think of one really.
Green Arrow, Green Arrow.
Yes, Ollie's his origin story, of course. And then hopefully I could become a master bowman because of that as well. Whereas more than likely I'd end up like bloody Castaway speaking to a freaking volleyball. You know,
well, as we wrap up here, are you guys working on anything that you can mention, and where can people find you on social media?
For me personally, I'm like I say, I'm doing some more box art for the Metatravelers, and I'm doing a little bit for 2000 AD, which is fantastic. We're working on a series of graphic novels that we can't actually talk about right now, but will be soon, which is really cool. You must get that a lot from people.
Well, I know that there's, you know, certain things that, you know, that readers might be working on that they're not allowed to, that haven't been announced. So that's why I say if ones you can talk about.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think. But we're working with a Web3 games company at the moment as well on a cool mobile game, which again early days, but that's looking really cool and interesting. Anything else we're working on, Andy?
Yeah, I think that's most of Ideas and Inks, which you can find us on ideasandinks.com as our website. Ant's on Instagram.
Oh yeah, so I'm Ant_Williams_artist.
And how's that project Freya with Ron coming, Andy?
That was done and dusted, and Van Breed. I actually just earlier this month went to a convention in Dallas where we had some limited editions of it that Alan Caudry had printed up, which was great. So that's a great fun place to play as well. Not Dallas, the universe of Freya. But Dallas is good too. And so I've just written a short horror story for the new Boom and horror anthology, Hello Darkness, that Trev Hairsign's drawn, which is pretty cool. It's called Kampfgeist, and it's set in the trenches of World War One, which was pretty freaking horrible anyway, let alone adding a supernatural element to it. And like I say, lots of cool stuff with Ant and Ideas and Inks as well. So and you can find me on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. So where I think it's just at Andy Lanning. But please come and say hello.
And are any shows in the near future, or?
I think both Ant and I are doing the London Film and Comic Con in July, which is in Olympia in London. I don't think I've got any US ones lined up for the rest of the year. But if I do, then I tend to announce them on the Twitter account. So they tend to, you get invited, like, you know, to a few things. I'd love to go back to the New York Comic Con in October. So let's hope that one happens. Anybody who wants me to go.
Well, I just got my press pass, so if you're there, then we'll definitely have to, you know.
That'd be awesome. We'll go and have a pint.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for taking the time today to join us and catch up on things and hear about the new project. And, you know, as always, you're always welcome back next time you guys have something that you want to talk to us about. And be sure to continue to follow us on Comic Watch, and have a great day.
Thanks, Chad. Appreciate you giving us the time, mate. It's good to be here.
That's brilliant, mate. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.